Hi, and welcome back to the latest episode of SGTV. So today we're talking with Ben from Be Electrical. And we're going to be talking about the challenges of becoming a young director. So Ben, hello, it's good to have you here.
Morning, mate. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and I'll just explain to our audience, if both me and Ben look exhausted, we've both got new babies, so we do apologise for that one. Ben, before we get into the ins and outs of, what you do and, the challenges we're going to talk about, I just want to, like every episode, I like to ask our guests sort of how they started out in the industry, the training, how their experience and how they got to where they are now. So could you just tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, cool. I mean, for those of you that do know me, my route into the industry is probably a bit controversial. So I think it was about, 2021, and I went to be a graphic designer, and I sort of just fell into the industry. Someone asked me if I wanted to be an electrical mate, and I just jumped straight into it, fell in love with it, and just progressed, built up my tools, got a van, and we was doing, what was we doing? Social housing work. So it's kitchens and bathrooms, remedials, upgrades, daily rewires, stuff like that. And after a few years, it got to a point where I could install, test by myself. I had my test and all that sort of stuff. But I wasn't getting any more money because I had no qualifications. So I looked into my different options, and I went to Able Skills and done a 16-week level 2, level 3 full time. So I stopped working, went there full time. And then after that, I'd done my building regs and this time 17th edition, then my 2391 and 2392, I think it was at the time, test and inspect. So that was my route into the industry. And yeah, I mean, I've worked for various companies and been stubborn for a long time. So yeah, that was my route into the game.
So why do you think it's controversial? I mean,
there's a lot of stigma about these. I mean, my course wasn't a 4-week Part P course. There's a lot of stigma about not doing your apprenticeship and doing your full NVQ level 3 from when you're younger and coming in just sort of doing, I guess you could say, the bare minimum. I tried to do more than the bare minimum by doing my building regs and my test and inspect, and not just saying, I've done my level 2, level 3. But there is a lot of people out there who think that's not an acceptable route, and
Yeah, it's a tricky one because having spoke to several different people in the industry, they're always telling me that the attitude is the big one. Knowledge can be taught. Attitude is you've either got it or you've not. And you can be 16 years old going into an apprenticeship, do all the years and not have the right attitude and be no good. Or you could have the right attitude at 16 and be brilliant. And the same can be said, I think, for these courses. You could go into one of these courses, think you know it all from doing this course, which is the wrong attitude, I think. And that's not going to be a good way to go. Or you can go in there with the attitude of wanting to do better and wanting to progress and really wanting to get into the industry. And I think that's how people progress. I may be controversial here saying this as well, but I think it doesn't matter which way you go about it. Experience is the main one, and attitude comes with that. And then your knowledge will progress from there. So yeah. I can hear loads of boos in the comment section coming now. But.
Oh yeah, 100%. There'll be a lot of come downs in there. But yeah, I mean, I think it's always been down to, like you said, the attitude and the willingness to learn. I mean, everyone's got their different reasons as to me. I never wanted to be an electrician when I was younger. I just literally happened to stumble into the industry. I'd never even looked at having a trade. So at that age, being, just over 20, I haven't got the time to be, saying, okay, I'm going to go and do an apprenticeship, get paid, the lowest wage, do day release, and take 4 or 5 years to get my qualifications. At the time I went to get my qualifications, it's the same as now. I know gold card electricians that aren't as good as what they are on paper, and they can only do what they've been told and shown in that environment. So take them out of domestic, for example, and put them into, light commercial. They'll crumble because they only they've been on their apprenticeship and they've only been showed how to do something a certain way. They've done what they need to do to get their qualifications, the bare minimum. But as long as you've got the willingness to learn and you're not going out there just being an absolute ropey cowboy, I don't see the problem. I see the problem when people are signing off like the most horrendous installs and dangerous. But there's going to be some good guys out there who have gone down it, sort of, I say, the quick route. But I've put in the graft, and they're doing good stuff.
Yeah. So if you had to do that, was it 16-week course? Did you say?
Yeah, 16 weeks full time. Yeah.
So did you finish whatever work you was in before that, just to complete that?
Yeah, literally. So, like I said, I was doing social housing work. So it's daily. We go into a new property every day, do a full rewire, a team of like 4 or 5 of us. So it just got to a point where I enrolled on the course, told the guys I was working for, I was just subby at that time. And I just said, look, I'm going on this course because I need to get my ticket. Because they were the ones who told me, look, we can't give you no more money.
Yeah.
I was on 50 quid a day, all my van and my tools, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just can't do it anymore. So yeah, off I went.
So how did you fund that? If you're not earning whilst you're doing 16 weeks, was that difficult?
So at the time they was doing, I don't know if they do it now, but they were doing a career development loan. So you could get up to £10,000.
Okay.
And it has to be with like a registered training provider. So you can't just take it and say, I'm going to go and do some online courses. So Able Skills was one of the providers that met the category. So you can get up to £10,000 to cover your course fees, any books and travel and stuff like that. And then you get, after you finish training, you get a 3-month window. You don't have to make any payments. And then after that, it worked out about 300 quid a month for 3 years.
Yeah, that's not bad though.
It's not bad. I came from 50 quid a day until after I came back to the same guy. It was minimum of 280, 300 pound a day.
Wow, that's good.
So it was literally just the fact I didn't have my qualifications just put the cap on me. I could do the work. I just wasn't at the qualification level to get the pay. So it was a no-brainer looking at it like that.
How was the training? One of the questions I've got was sort of asking about the practical element. Were there things in the training that just didn't prepare you for? I know you've got a bit of on-site experience going into that, but say if you didn't have that experience and you went into this course fresh, were there things that you felt you needed to learn that you didn't?
I guess for me, I've always been quite a hands-on person. My dad is, and I'd probably say that everything that I've done up to date I've only been possible because of the stuff that my dad's taught me. And so for me, I find the practical stuff pretty easy. I can see things through logically before I've started them. But if I was coming sort of fresh, hadn't been in the industry and chose that route, what you do in the classroom compared to what you do on site it's night and day. It's completely different. Yeah,
but I think the same is for colleges. What people do in apprenticeships. I hear exact same thing. It's great. You're learning the fundamentals of it and the theory behind it. But doing something on a board in a college to then going into a house where you've got joists and walls and ceilings and all sorts of obstacles, and it's completely different, isn't it?
Like, I don't even think we even picked up a power tool when we was. Everything was by hand. You're screwing into a board, you're hammering in clips, and then you get onto site and it's SDSs and, and angle drills going through joists. And if you haven't picked up power tools, you'll have your qualifications and you'll just fall flat on your face when you're out in the field.
So when you did your training course, you went back to subbing. So how did you make the transition from subbing to being your own boss, running B Electrical?
So after training, went back to working for the same company doing the social housing work. I got to the end of I wanted to do more because it was the same. It taught me a lot of fundamentals. I had to work very quickly because we were in and out in a day. Because there's 5, 6 of us at a time, there could be brand new faults that have been put in. So you've got to learn to sort of diagnose and rectify faults pretty quickly. So I just got to a point where I felt like I'm kind of wasted. It became too easy, not a challenge anymore. And so at which point I was like, okay, I need to find something different. I did try and go out on my own. This was I don't even know when this was. This was many moons ago. I tried to go out on my own, and I guess you just don't have the contacts, the business acumen. You don't know what you're doing. And then I had my first daughter, and I said, right, I'm going to go and work for someone. And I ended up going to work for a builder in central London, which showed me the other side of the world, which is high-end residential. And I just got a whole new passion for electrical work again, because it was like everything that I've known that I thought I was really good, like, start again. This is completely different. The fundamental, the basics are there, but in terms of the wiring systems and the equipment that you're using, it was just something else for me. And I was just like a kid in a toy shop.
Yeah. Do you mean sort of going like smart tech was the difference, or the finish, high end finish, that kind of thing?
High end finish. I mean, at a point, an MK socket was the, dog's bollocks for me. MK Logic white plastic was the nuts at one point for me, because it was, we're going into houses doing kitchens, and, depending on what housing association, we're even getting some cheap rubbish, or, we get good stuff, it's MK. And I was like, wow. And then going into this high-end residential and seeing, some of the chandeliers that I've hung is just ridiculous,
And Scolmore products obviously were the high-end ones you was using there.
Yeah. So the click range is unreal. And it's just, there's just so much more. If you've been sort of not blindfolded, but blinkered into something such as, a cheap, cheerful, get the job done, in and out. I didn't know about all the nice stuff, even down to downlights. I don't think I didn't fit a downlight, because again, you're just doing pendants and bathroom bulkheads in social housing. So, even getting into installing downlights was just like, wow, this is crazy. And I was like, right, when I got home, Mum, I'm doing downlights everywhere. It was just something completely new for me, and it just started the passion all over again. It's just, yeah.
Do you think the atmosphere as well? Going from working in social housing, which, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with social housing. They're built to certain specs and things like that, so they're livable and comfortable. But do you think going into these bigger, more luxurious properties and being able to work in that kind of atmosphere and see that is has added to the drive of wanting to work like that?
Yeah, I guess it gives you a bit more scope. You get to see a bit more of the ladder or the pyramid, I guess. You can see the end products, because again, if we're going in to do, a rewire or whatever, we're going in and we leave before, maybe the kitchen's been installed or anything like that. So you don't really get to see the end product. Whereas being on, a larger job and getting to see the job develop, see it progress, even see other companies coming in and doing specialist bits of work that you think, oh, I'd love to do that one day. It just gives you a bit more drive. There's a lot more people on site. The morale's a lot more better, because it's a lot of stress if you're doing sort of quick, fast-paced work. So to have a little bit of a step back and say, it's more about the quality, it's more about the finish.
Yeah, enjoy your craft a bit more there, can't you?
Yeah.
So how did you then go from, so you was working for a builder, and then was it just an easy transition to becoming self-employed, or was there more to it than that?
Well, I guess like everyone, you get to a point where you're like, oh, I can do this by myself.
Yeah.
And I've always been quite self-driven. It just got to a point where I guess the direction that I wanted to go in and the direction that somebody else was putting me in due to working for them just didn't align. So there's so much more that I wanted to do and that I wasn't going to be able to do. So I just said, I've just got to take the jump. And I just went for it. And I'd like to think I'm a likable guy. So I just made as many contacts as I could and reached out and offered to help, and sort of, I guess, squeezed my way into building relationships and allow myself to work for myself and earn enough money to be out there on my own.
So is that how you mainly sort of gain your customers then? It's the relationships you're building, not only with customers, but with other contractors, I'm guessing?
Yeah. So, at the very beginning, it was all word of mouth, especially when you are by yourself, one-man band. I haven't got any you haven't got any knowledge of marketing, advertising, that sort of thing. So it's literally just doing a good job and people recommending you. And I mean, luckily enough for me, I was doing the right jobs for the right people. And so yeah, it just kind of snowballed, and it allowed me to build my portfolio on like Instagram, my social media, which then just upped it even more. It allowed for my content to get out there and people to see it, and the work just kept on coming in.
Yeah, I mean, you're quite young to be setting up your own business and being out there on your own. So have you ever found any maybe discrimination from customers or other contractors about your age, about sort of taking you seriously or paying you seriously?
It's a bit more. I mean, I'm 31, 32 now, one or two. It's not so bad now. But yeah, 5 years ago, it would be like, well, what do you know, kind of thing. And it was quite difficult, again, going into the high-end properties with high-end prices. They're like, you seem a bit young. Do you know what you're doing? Are you going to be capable? There was that with sort of new clients. It was easier with recommendations or repeat work because, the work speaks for itself. So it was easier that way. But yeah, I guess it always comes around, whether it's age or just people just don't think you're capable, especially if they know you're like a small team and it's quite a large job.
Yeah. Do you think that could have anything to do with confidence, maybe? I mean, you strike me as someone who doesn't suffer with confidence problems. But I mean, if you're young and you're running your own business and you're going into properties, whilst you might seem confident in yourself, if I don't know, I suppose if there's an element of uncertainty, a client or a contractor might sniff that out, and that could cause, I don't know. That's why I'm asking you, really.
Yeah. Well, I guess it partly comes down to what am I trying to say here? I guess that's a different hat that you need to wear. It's almost like a salesman hat.
Yeah.
Wear at that time, and you're not particularly, you're not taught that anywhere.
Yeah, it comes with experience, doesn't it?
It comes with experience, and I mean, I've learned it now. But I used to go into a job, and there'd be a lot of times where I've come to have a look at stuff, and I'd be very quiet because I'm looking, I'm thinking about, okay, how would I attack this? And then it went from me realizing that, okay, that's making me probably seem like, oh, is he all right here? Does he know what he's doing? So then I thought, okay, I need to go to the other end of the spectrum, and I would be looking at a job and then telling them what it is that I'm proposing to do. But I then realized at that point, I'm now giving it too much away, and they'll probably go and find someone cheaper and say, oh, well, the other guy that we had that came round said he was going to do it this way. And all of a sudden, they're going to do it the way that I was going to do it for a cheaper price, and I was moving out. So yeah, it was all about learning and juggling. And now it's confidence, reassuring the customer that you know what you're doing. You're getting a proposal over to them. Luckily enough, I've built up a portfolio enough to show clients that I know what I'm doing. I can do it well. So it's definitely made it a lot easier now.
Yeah. So what is your strategy then, without giving it too much away to any competitors? But I mean, if you're walking into a property, you've got to figure it out. How do you figure it out without coming across as, oh, does he know what he's doing, sort of?
I guess you in essence, you figure it out later. So you're going in there to essentially, you're not even going there to you're introducing yourself and who you are, and showing your passion for what you do. At that point, the job's irrelevant. You're making an introduction. You take what information you need away, and then you work it out later, and then give them a proposal.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be a bit daunting if someone's getting in 5 different contractors and they're all coming in, all in their work clothes, getting the tape measures out, taking pictures, and they say, all right, cool, speak to you later. It's very cold. And if you're spending a lot of money with a company, you kind of want to build a bit of rapport and feel a bit more safer. So now it's more about going in, meeting the client, understanding what it is that they want, building a rapport, getting a good relationship going, and making it more of a friendly visit as opposed to, oh, I'm going around just to do a quote. Because as much as this business, you do want these people to come back to you, you do want them to refer you. They are essentially my marketing tools. So I need to invest a lot of time into them to make sure that they're comfortable and that they understand the value that I bring them. And yeah, that's the way I go for it.
Yeah, I think especially with homeowners, they want that relationship. They want someone who they can trust and they'll use again. They're not going to use one electrician and then another the next time. More times than not, they're going to use the same one if they've done a good job. But I think the problem is there was a lot of TV shows, in the talking about road traders and things like that, and I think it just put the fear of God into a lot of homeowners, especially because they're thinking, oh, every tradesman's a criminal. They're trying to fob me off here, and as entertaining as some of them shows were, I think it's done a bit of damage to trust. And like you say, if you're going into a house, you've got to automatically build that bridge before you can even do that work.
I mean, I think it's a partly disagree. I mean, it's made it worrying, but then it's just our job to reassure. So yeah, everyone works in different ways, but there'll be a lot of people that think you're trying to pull the wool over their eyes. And as long as you're firm on your prices, you should be able to explain to the customer, look, this is the reason why I have to do X, Y, and Z. And then they'll feel a bit more reassured. I mean, it can be taken in two ways. You've got to be careful. If you're going into sort of remedial someone else's work, got to be able to make sure that you're professional. You're not slagging off the other electricians' work, because I mean, everyone has their bad days. You're not there to do that. So you just need to get across the point of why it's wrong and how and what you need to do to fix it. And at that point there, you kind of build that level of trust. Is that okay? They're showing me what needs to do. They're not giving me no faff. And for that, you can charge your good money because you're providing them with value. And I mean, it works. No, it works. I mean, I've got countless keys somewhere for clients' homes where they're like, oh, here, have a key. And if something needs done, they're like, oh yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's not a case of, oh, now we're really scared for all tradesmen. It's certain individuals. If you're a scary guy, you're a scary guy. You can't do anything about it. So it's down to you to build that relationship with the customer.
Okay. What sort of what other obstacles do you find that you faced being a director of your own company?
Spinning the plates. There's so much that you have to immediately pick up, and there's so much that you have to learn whilst on the job. And sometimes it can make you seem a bit unprofessional. You might not be up to the standard of a director that someone's expecting you to be. So it's a massive growing phase, a lot of growing pains, as there always are. And for me, it's, depending on where you're going to, you're going to meet new customers and new clients who work differently, and they're expecting, certain procedures, certain documentation from you that you might have not experienced before. And it's down to you solely to sort it all out and still provide the same level of service that you've said that you give. So it's hard, but it's very rewarding when you pull it off.
Yeah. Have you found a lot of people I've spoken to who've gone self-employed said they didn't like working for other people, so they wanted to work for themselves, and then they found they've gone from working for one person to working for potentially hundreds of people, all with different personalities and different expectations. So was that a big learning curve then?
Yes, which I guess, so immediately when you go out to work for yourself, you're in unknown waters. You want to get as much work as possible, and I guess you do you take whatever's thrown at you. So if you've got a customer who's going to boss you around and say, I want you to do this, I want you to do that, you need to come at this time and XYZ, you're going to do it. I mean, there's not many people that say, right, I've gone self-employed and it's my way or the highway, because you've got to get to that point. But you do get to a point where, well, hopefully everyone gets to a point where they realize that, okay, I've built my company, my recognition to where it is, and now it's not so much that I'm being dictated to, and it becomes a bit more of you being in control. I work these hours, I don't work these hours, and this is the way that I do it, and I don't do it any other way. It gets to a point where you can start doing that, and then you don't feel like you're oh, I've gone from working for one person and being told what to do to I've now got 50 clients and they're all telling me what to do. It does take some time to get there, and I guess the person inside you as well. You have to want to get there as well.
Yeah, all down to attitude again, isn't it? That
Yeah.
keeps coming up. So you set up, was it at the beginning of the pandemic you set out to be self-employed?
Yeah, so no, I was self-employed beforehand, but we went limited at the beginning of last year. So I managed to land a big job, and it was large enough that I knew I needed to go limited straight away.
Yeah. Was
So,
it a scary sort of phase though, having to, because I know a lot of people, especially the first couple of weeks of the pandemic, it was drop tools, nothing. And then all of a sudden it was just boom, right, we're busy out of nowhere.
yeah.
So was it quite scary for you sort of taking that plunge and then
I mean,
all hell breaks loose?
Yeah, I mean, luckily for me, we was on a large project, so it just kept on running throughout. We obviously had our procedures in place. The number of people on site went down, but I just had I had a small team on site anyway, so we were still in as normal. It didn't really impact me. I think we had at one point when everybody sort of down tools, we had 1 or 2 weeks off. Other than that, went straight back to it, and nothing really changed. Luckily for me, got busier. So yeah, I can't say that it wasn't scary for fear of what's going to happen. It was just the pace that everything changed was just so ridiculous.
Yeah. Did it go busier for you sort of in the thick of it though?
Yeah. So I'd sort of allowed a certain amount of time for the large job that we was on and thought, okay, we're going to pick up little bits and pieces here and there. And then sort of the job that we're on, there was variations and extras, which made the workload increase. And then there was all of my previous clients who are at home and they now want all this stuff sorted out because they're living with their problems every day.
Yeah, you sat there looking at them, aren't you?
Yeah, it's not a weekend problem anymore. It's a 7-day-a-week problem. So yeah, it was tough, but it was worth it. It's stuff that I enjoy, so I can never sit and say, oh, it was horrible, because I mean, I get a buzz of it. I enjoy being busy as much as I know it has its problems, and it's stressful. It's what I enjoy.
Yeah. Did it add a new set of experiences to the work you do? Because you've gone from, like you say, when you sat there in your house working from home or down tools at home, people are looking at their problems and they're thinking, oh, I want this, I want that, I want that. And it might be more work, more variety of work. So did it give a bit more variety to the kind of work you do and now can offer?
I've always been one for, trying to venture out. So I guess after the first year of working for the builder on that high-end project, that's when I'd sort of opened up my eyes to the world of AV. And I was working closely with the AV company there after. Like I said to them, look, if you guys need any hands on any of your projects, I'm more than happy to come and help you out so I can learn the AV side of things. And again, that opened up doors, and they're saying, oh, we've got an electrician. And I was going around doing so much stuff that wasn't really, it became to a point where I was doing less electrical and more AV and networking and stuff like that. So I was able to utilize all of my skills a lot more. There's a lot more clients who are struggling with Wi-Fi, or they need a hardwired internet connection, or they're having now security issues. They're at home all the time and they're getting a bit paranoid, and it's CCTV, there's alarms. There's so much to cover, but I was kind of already doing it and offering it anyway. It was just nice to have the work there. There's a lot of people out there who will say, well, we can do X, Y, and Z, but they're never getting any phone calls for it.
Yeah. And then I guess once you've done them, you get to take photos and put them on your pages, and it's proof of what you can do as well, isn't it?
Proof's in the pudding, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what would be the goal then for you going forward now? So you've gone from a career change, training, subcontracting, set up on your own, all in a fairly short space of time, which I think is brilliant. I always commend anyone who takes a leap to go self-employed, especially if they're unhappy in their previous job and they're taking a new direction and owning it. I love hearing stories like that. So what's next for you and Be Electrical? Where do you see yourself going?
So next step for me is I've been trying to get a premises so we can have an office. One thing that I've seen is, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, is I've seen something that isn't being carried out in sort of the high-end sector for electrical contractors, and I want to kind of take our business there. So at the moment I'm looking for growth. So I'm trying to, we've got the lease sorted out on our office, so I'm just waiting to sort out and get the keys. As soon as we're in, we're going to be hiring an apprentice, maybe another one office staff, and maybe another field engineer, and then just look to grow. Got a lot of nice projects coming up. So yeah, I mean, it's I feel like I'm making excuses saying, oh, I'm waiting for this to happen, but I feel like it's sort of my next stepping stone before I can branch out and do everything else that I want to do. So I feel like I need it. And then, yeah, once then I just want to grow. I don't want to grow massively, but I'd like to have a small team where we can be really effective, and just, you know, turn out some good jobs.
Yeah, more natural growth than trying to force growth in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to have sort of like 50 engineers. What I don't want to do is lose the passion. I've noticed a lot of, you know, guys that I've spoken to who are directors, older guys. It's, you know, it was their dad's business or their granddad's business, and they've sort of just, you know, followed suit, filled the boots, and they're in that position. And I'm like, oh, you know, they've got hundreds of electricians on the books, and they're not necessarily have a passion for electrics where I ooze it. You know, it's just, I can't get enough of it. So I don't want to lose the connection with it, whereby I have to deal with so much off the field that I'm not really an electrician anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand. No, yeah.
Yeah, I got to a point, I realized there was a point where everyone's saying, oh, you want to get off the tools. And then when you kind of backtrack and you leave other people to, you know, you instruct other people to do work for you, you do miss the craft because you enjoy what you're doing. So I don't want to completely grow too large that I can't still muck in.
Yeah, that sounds good. I always believe that you should lead by example. And I think if you've got a team around you, no matter what industry you're in, you should be leading the way by doing it and showing them how it's done, and rather than just sitting there pointing. But I wish you all the best, though. I really do. It sounds like you've got your head screwed on. Yeah. I don't mean that in a patronising way. I mean that, you know, that you're doing well, and I want to see you do well. So, but before we finish this episode, what advice would you give to anyone, probably in the same sort of early situation as you, looking to become a young director?
It's one word. It's learn. Learn. There's so many resources out there. YouTube, Google, to educate yourself on what it is you don't know about running a business. I've spoken to a lot of guys and given them a lot of advice on so many different areas, and it's all about the non-electrical side to the business. I guess everything that you would do if you wasn't an electrician running a business is the bit you need to focus on now. You know what you're doing. So it's really spend some time, look up what it is you should be doing in terms of, you know, documentation, anything you need to file, and make sure you've got in order, how to market yourself, and there's such a wide spectrum of things you need to learn. Yeah, but just really invest in yourself and pick up those skills.
And that's something we try and do here at SGTV as well. We've got loads of episodes about marketing yourself, running your own business, all that kind of thing. So if anyone out there is watching and they haven't seen any of those videos, please make sure you check us out, like, subscribe, hit the notification button. But where can our audience, if they don't already know you, Ben, where can they find you?
If you don't already know me, Instagram's my main handle. So that's b.electrical.london. Drop me a thumbs up when you find a nice picture that you like, and follow me for the journey.
Yeah. Right then, Ben, it's been an absolute pleasure having you joining us today.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me on.
And I think there's going to be another episode with you as well. So our audience can check that one out soon. Thank you, Ben, and we'll see you all next time.